One of the elements of identity that I think will have the most impact is racial and ethnic identity. This is because I am of a different race compared to my dormmates, as they are all Chinese and I'm Malay. So I believe that the things we do and our actions should be very different. Another element would be religion identity. This is because we practice different stuff and have different beliefs and views on certain things. Moving on, some of the things that I'm looking forward to is to get to know my dormmates more and to learn about their culture and their background. I would also like to know how they can have an influence on me as a dormmate. And lastly would be to see how we try to understand and accommodate to each other, and also to have fun.
The element that I think will impact me the most during the dorm stay would be the racial and ethnic identity, since not all of my flatmates have the same race as me. For example, I'm Chinese but Izati is Malay, so I think that there will be some differences as we stay and get to know more about each other. And I believe this will impact me a lot, as I will then realize how big or how small the differences are just because of the differences in our different racial identity. And for the dorm stay, I'm looking forward to know more about my flatmates' culture and behaviors or practices as we get to interact with each other for the following days. And it's also because I did not live with people of different race before, so I'm very curious about how different we are as we behave at home in our daily lives.
The element that I think will impact my stay with my apartment roommates is race. As race is our born with identity, this is not something that we will be able to choose from. Out of my 3 apartment roommates, 2 of them are of a different race from me. One is Malay and one is Indian. This may lead to differences in our dietary concerns, as Muslims are prohibited from consuming pork products and Indians are prohibited from consuming beef products. As such, we may have conflicts due to our differences in our dietary concerns and cause tension among the group. Although 2 of my apartment groupmates are of the same course as me, I have not had a proper chance to talk to them and get to know them better, and this dorm stay would be a perfect opportunity to get to know them better, and as well as to make friends with my apartment roommate from another course.
Hi, my name is Serena, and the element that I think will impact me the most in this dorm stay is my race, because I'm half Chinese and half Indian, and there's no person with the same race as me that's sharing the dorm with me. There's 2 Chinese girls and 1 Malay girl, and since people from different races have different ways of doing things and like carrying out their day-to-day activities, I think it'll be interesting to see how everything goes. And what I'm looking forward to the most is because a lot of my Chinese friends don't bathe in the morning, so I don't think there will be a mad rush for the toilet, since only my Malay roommate and I will be showering in the morning. Yes. And yeah, that's about it.
Some of the elements of identity that are most different are religion and race and ethnic identities. For religion identity, it is different in terms of the food that we eat. As a Muslim, I can only eat halal food, so whenever we plan to eat together, we need to consider the places that sell halal food, which is considerate of them. For race and ethnic identity, it is different in terms of the toilet practices. I learned and noticed that my dormmates will only need to use toilet paper to clean after themselves, while I'll need to use a hose to clean after myself. Moving on, there wasn't any conflicts because I think we accepted each other for who we are regardless of race, and we also took the initiative to understand and learn about each other better. Moreover, I already knew two of them, Michelle and Corinne, so the possibilities of conflict happening is lesser.
The elements of my identity that I think is the most different from my flatmates would still be the racial and ethnic identity, because throughout the stay, I found out that not all races have the same kind of practices. So for example, I found out from Izati that Malays actually do not have the same kind of toilet practices as Chinese, which I think was very surprising because I did not know that before living in a dorm, staying with my friend of another race. And during the stay, I think that our differences in our elements of identity did not cause any conflicts or disputes among us. I find that the main reason is because all of us are very accommodating to each other, as we understand that there will be differences and there is differences among all of us. Therefore, there's no conflicts or dispute throughout this dorm stay.
The elements of identity that were the most different from those of the other members in my group were race. Since all of us have different dietary needs, this led to us having difficulty finding a common place for us to have our meals, which resulted to us having to take away our meals for most of the meals that we eat together and eating it at the dorm. However, we did not have any conflicts amongst one another, as we already knew of each other beforehand, which made communication much more easier and we could understand each other better. Despite our differences, we still managed to accept one another for our differences in our cultures and made accommodations for each other, which resulted in a very pleasant dorm stay for the 5 days here.
So the element of my identity that was most different from that of my roommates is my race, because I'm the only one that is Indian Chinese, and there were no conflicts caused by my race. But one thing that we had to think about is, because one of my roommates is a Muslim, we have to consider the fact that she cannot consume any items that contain pork. So we had to think about whether we wanted to order food or like get food that had pork in it, and then she would just get her own, or we could all just order something that was halal and that she could consume. And aside from that, everything was smooth, and we didn't have any disagreements due to our race or religion or anything of the sort. And overall, it's a good and fun trip. Yeah.
I begin to
Through this dorm stay, I was able to get to know my dormmates better and bond with them, and also learn to work with others despite our differences in our cultures and lifestyles.
I think that this dorm stay is very meaningful and fun because I get to interact with my dorm mates, and I also learn new cultures and practices from them.
So overall, it has been a very fun, meaningful and wonderful experience, as it helps to open my eyes to new cultures, and also I'm able to experience diversity at first hand, which makes me understand it better.
And I learned that when interacting with people of other races and religions, you have to compromise and be respectful, because not everybody like operates the same way and does things the same way. So yeah.
Okay, bye!